We are now ready to build our report. In this video, I'm going to be building our hot warm account activity status by state. And that is this one right over here. And what we find is that the information we filled in and we thought about is actually going to help us build this report together. So let's begin by focusing on the field section of our report. Every report has three sections. We have the fields, we have the preview section, and then we have the filter section. The fields are like buckets of information that we are connected to what is called an object. We are in the accounts and activities object, right? So activities is an object, accounts is an object. And we're in the report that actually pulls fields or pieces of information from both of those. What we won't find here is, for example, leads and contacts. Those are their own object, and they have their own set of fields. So the first thing we're going to do is figure out what we want to see, okay? And so we are guided exactly by our brainstorm that we did earlier. We want to see the state. So what we do is we go in here and we type in state. Let's see what comes up. So we see billing state or province, and what I'm going to do is actually grab that and drag it in here and drop it down. All right. Okay, now we want to see status. All right, so I'm going to take that status, activity information status. I'm going to drop that in right now, and we can see that this says planned, not held, held, and planned, right? Now, what you will notice as well is that we have different states, but this information isn't really that helpful. You may want to see, for example, the account name. We can drag that right over. You might want to see other pieces of information that will help you make more sense of where these, a little bit more about these accounts as a summary of what I'm trying to say. Not just the state and the status, right? You might want to see what account that is linked to. So this is important for us because we're thinking about what we want to look at. However, as you will remember, we need to group this information in order for it to be put into a chart. Remember, a dashboard needs to have an x-axis and a y-axis to be effective, right? So what we've got to do is, right now, we are in what is called the tabular format. But what we need to actually be in is either the summary or the matrix format. So I'm going to click matrix. And what you will notice immediately is that a blue ribbon comes across, okay? And what that blue ribbon basically tells us is drop a field here to create a grouping. So what I'm going to do is actually drop this in and notice what happens. Immediately, Salesforce helps us group by state: California, Colorado, Louisiana. What I'm also going to do is group this information by status. Remember, I'm going back to our hot or warm accounts, task status by state, right? You want to see the accounts by their status. We have billing province and state by status, right? So that's what I'm doing over here. So that is what we want to see. And if we click run report, we will notice that all the states, Massachusetts, North Carolina, are all grouped, and then we have the different statuses, each account, right? However, that is not enough. We have our preview section, but now we actually want to filter this information out. We want to make sure that we only see Texas, California, and North Carolina. We only want to see those hot or warm accounts, right? So this is where our filter section comes in. So let's begin by making sure that we have all activities open and completed. Date is all time. We could also put this for current fiscal year, previous fiscal year. In this case, because I haven't asked anything about the actual time frame, I'm going to use all time. So let's begin. Firstly, we only want the states, right? Texas, California, and North Carolina. So what I'm going to do is, once again, type in state. This time, however, I'm going to drop it into the filter section right over here. And this is billing state or province equals. And what I'm going to do is make sure that I only have California, comma, I only have California, Texas, and North Carolina. Now notice that there are no spaces and that each of these are separated by a comma. Notice what happens if I make a space here. North Carolina is unlikely to show up. What we've got to do is actually make sure that there's no space. And that means North Carolina will show up. So we are only seeing North Carolina, Texas, and California. If we added Louisiana, for example, LA, we will notice then that Louisiana will then appear. And I can edit this report and take out Louisiana. And notice that it will disappear over here. And so that means if I click Run Report, and then I click Hide Details, it will show me that in California I have a total of 6 records, 2 of which are planned, not held, and held. Let me explain what the status means in this regard. Planned means that you have had communication with this particular account. Not held means that communication was planned, but it wasn't executed. And then held means that you actually contacted or connected with this account. And this is broken down by California, North Carolina, and Texas. So we have Texas, California, North Carolina, and the status. However, the one thing we are missing right here is the hot or warm rating that we need. So what we've got to do is go back, click Customize, and we've got to add one more filter. And that filter is actually Account or Lead Rating. So what we do is we drag that across, we drop it in, and then we use this magnifying glass right here. We click the magnifying glass, we want hot and we want warm accounts only. We click OK, and notice what happens. Immediately we have less records, right? We only have 31. But these are only accounts that are hot and warm accounts. So what we have done is use this. We can now go back to our brainstorm and say, yes, this is in fact an account that, a report, that is grouped in a summary format. We have added our fields such as status, right? We've added the province, we've added the status, we've filtered out, we're only seeing California, Texas, and North Carolina. We've made sure we filter for hot and warm, and we've grouped these information. Our next step is actually to create the chart, and that's what we're going to do in the next video.